It was kind of inconclusive and like I feel like maybe needed to get another variable with their data. Because I think some people got up and moved around.
For some reason, it's not what there is.
And that changes your blood pressure too. So
Yeah. I think I both. Yeah, I will. Great. Yeah.
On audio should be on. We now. Yep, that's correct. Okay, and my part is taking the same time for me to get on. So. We should at one time so we could see them up there.
you were in the library. I feel like it was a bigger screen. But
Do you have it on duplicate your screen or
No, I have it on present.
if you can switch it to duplicate, it should try to pack everything in one screen.
Dang, I'm up close and personal.
Okay.
It's
I have.
It's
It's not letting him get in for some reason. Okay, so what I would do here is I would hit share. And I will share the PowerPoint slideshow.
And then we'll be in the gallery view. Or yeah.
Oh, here it is. Okay, great.
okay, and he's there now.
Good. Okay,
And are you also streaming on
I'm
YouTube?
streaming on YouTube.
Can you see if anybody has joined on YouTube?
This is our stream on YouTube. One watching now.
Maybe it's us.
Oh. Probably it.
Okay.
Maybe it's us. We're the what? We're the
Definitely it.
We're watching the
We're like, oh.
Do we have a monitor? Cause like I can put it up on my computer.
Whenever we get to the public comment section, we'll just double check it and see if there's anybody wanting to.
Okay, Pari, can you hear us?
I think he's trying to enter.
There
Where
may
it
be
says
somebody
view.
else in the waiting room too.
Pari, can you hear us? And can you hear us? Can you let us know if our audio is working? I think you're muted. Okay,
I can hear you.
Okay,
Hi, everyone.
all right, well, I am going to hide these meeting controls and I'm gonna hand this to you, Christy. I think it should be working. Of course, it was moments ago and now it's not. There you go.
Right, I'm gonna call this meeting to order. We're gonna follow the agenda that I emailed to you. So I'd like to remind everyone, this is a meeting of the Go team. Only members of the team may participate in the discussion. Any members of the public present are here to quietly observe. For members of the Go team, please identify yourself when you speak. Pleased to call this meeting of the Mary Ellen Elementary School Go team to order at 2:50. First order of business is to call roll. You go ahead.
Denise Brinkslin,
Present.
Christy Perez,
Present.
Addison Draper. Here. Harry Rom,
Here.
Kayla Dees,
Here.
Becky Hecox, Missy Snyder,
Here.
Lindley Terrace.
Here.
Self here, Kelsey Boyage.
Here.
We have quorum.
Right, so now we've established a quorum.
Do you have a copy of the agenda I can have or not? It's fine if you don't.
Yeah, you can. So we can first order of business is to do the approval of the agenda. Is there anybody who has a comment? Okay, does anybody want to motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right.
No, you're good.
All in favor?
I,
Anyone opposed? So, the next item is the approval of the previous minutes. I sent you, via email. Did everybody have time to review them?
Mhm.
Does anybody have any comments or additions? Do you want to motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Yeah, it's like that too. It's good. All right, so with the approval of the previous minutes, those can be posted online. We do have some additional action items listed that are part of our discussion. And so those action items will be done kind of in parallel with the discussion, and we'll vote on them during that time. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's a great idea. Uh-huh. That's smart, very smart. And so you can see the agenda is as described here in the slides and what we already approved. We're first going to go through the continuous improvement plan, and then we'll go and look at the fall to winter map data that's available. And that will lead us into our discussion of our strategic plan and priorities. Where we are right now is kind of obscured by their faces on our screen, but it's number 5. Before the winter break, what we're supposed to do is take action and actually vote on our school strategic plan and ranking our strategic priorities, which leads into our budget discussion that happens in 2025 in the new year. And so we already started this discussion in our previous meeting where we were doing some workshopping on the words in our strategic plan and priorities. And we talked a little bit about, do we even need to like put them in a ranking? Can we just say everything is important? And so we'll vote on those things today. So first, go ahead.
I was gonna say, can we assign somebody to take the minutes when I leave?
Mhm.
4. So I'm leaving at 4 to get my kids ready for the concert. Can somebody else take over taking minutes after I leave, if the meeting's done?
The meeting is still going.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Uh-huh. Okay, so do you want to go into the continuous improvement plan slides?
Excuse me. So, the SIP check-in is just basically, we're going to be taking a look at the SIP, which I reviewed largely with you all last meeting, and talking about how our success toward completing our goals as outlined in our SIP. So here we have the needs assessment, which I shared with you all last time, that kind of is the underbelly, I guess, of our needs assessment, just kind of our strengths and challenges that help us identify our overarching needs. Once again, our 3 categories are literacy, numeracy, and whole childhood intervention. So looking at our needs, they're the same, that they were at the beginning of the year. In literacy, we're focusing on writing. Interdisciplinarily in numeracy, working on solid growth in every grade level. And as opposed to achievement, right? We know that our kids are very high achievers. We want to see a really high level of growth in all 3 milestones grade levels and all other grade levels as well, which we can measure on MAP, which I'll show you guys in a moment. And then for whole childhood intervention, identifying a lack of motivation, potential lack of resilience, and issues with increasing anxiety with kiddos, and how can we help them develop that resilience, grit, and be able to handle those big feelings that come. So identified the root cause, so trying to determine where all of those issues came from.
And then from the root cause, we identify our overarching needs, which I kind of already outlined for you. First, in order to ensure that students are writing across the curriculum and they are well versed in writing in all content areas, that they need to understand the writing process, from developing ideas to, developing their craft, and then editing, revising, and then obviously grammar, mechanics, and structure. In numeracy, we talked about focusing on both grade level content and enrichment. Make sure that we're utilizing the EOG assessment data to drive differentiation. Remember, I talked last time about the difference between the MAP assessment, which a lot of our students who are high achievers are being assessed largely on above grade level standards, whereas the EOG assessment assesses kids on their grade level standards only. So making sure that we are prioritizing both. And then the whole childhood intervention, we want to develop executive functioning skills so kids can be more resilient. These are our SIP goals. They are the same that they were prior. Thinking about the alignment of our SIP and our strategic plan, these SMART goals are very specific for literacy and numeracy, talking about, specific shifts in the scoring on a specific writing domain. You can say that these kind of live under the umbrella of our larger strategic plan goals, which are on increasing student achievement in ELA and math. So these are kind of like super detailed, whereas I think our strategic plan priorities are a little bit more broad and can kind of capture growth for the entire grade level, where these are kind of a little more specific. And these are, I'm not going to go through all of these for this time because I do want to review the data, but these are our SMART goals and action steps. As we have moved through the semester, we have been focusing on explicit writing instruction across content areas in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. I'm going to talk a little bit about how that came up in our MAP scores. And our numeracy goals, obviously, being really explicit around algebraic reasoning, and spiraling that in, because that is, if you were to identify a low point in our data, algebraic reasoning is an area where our kids can grow the most. And then in whole childhood intervention, we've been working on goal setting, MAP growth goal setting with students, and making sure that they understand that, hard work equals growth. And so just getting them to track their growth throughout the year is something we're doing. We're focusing on in 2nd through 5th grade, but our kindergarten and 1st grade teachers do have informal conversations with their kids about MAP growth goals. So our data review, this is just kind of to level set, because our take rate as of when I pulled this data is 67-ish%. Now that does include MAP reading fluency. You'll see at the bottom, MAP reading fluency, our kiddos are taking that early next week. So that's why it's still 0. Our MAP growth, math clearly was the first assessment our kids took, and then reading was 2nd. So we still are running a lot of makeups in 3rd and 4th grade, which is why you see those lower percentages. But I give you this to say, this is not a complete data picture. It's close. So we will, this could look different if we review it again in January. Slightly different. So here we have this is, and I have fewer slides than last time. I really tried to hone in here on a couple things, growth and subgroups. That's kind of what I honed in on here, because that aligns to our SIP and strategic plan. So this is the growth quintile. So remember we talked about last time, this is the percentile of growth as
Can move the.
Sure. Yeah, thanks. Perfect.
Or you can even make it smaller.
You can just make it smaller.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to,
Like the minimize.
There we go. That's fine. Well, because what all right, so
It's true.
so this is the growth quintile. So this is sorted by average plus. So average and above. So yellow and above is the sort here. And this is the percentage, this a percentile of each student's growth in comparison to their like peers. So you can see that and this is K5. In reading, we had about 33% of our students have low or low average growth. And then 67% of our kids had average and above growth, which is our goal, right? Our goal is to have about a 40 and above. And they actually lump 40 into the orange category, but for all intents and purposes, when we're talking about the milestones assessment, 40 is actually is average growth is what you want to see. So there could be a shift, one way on the yellow bar if we included 40 in the average. But this is what our reading growth looks like from fall to winter. This is our math growth from fall to winter. You can see that we had about 35% of our students in the low or low average growth, and 65% of our students were average growth and above. This is a poll of only Miss Sofianos's schools. So the only schools you see in this sort are Midtown and Jackson cluster. It's just an easier image to grab because it's fewer schools. Yeah, questions? Yeah, right here.
I see Jackson. Is Midtown only?
I did K5.
Okay. Well, it has Jackson.
I didn't do.
And it has King Middle.
I must have forgotten.
Howard.
I must have forgotten to do just the elementary schools. This is just elementary. My intention was to pull only elementary because the other ones aren't pertinent. So thank you for pointing that out. Now this is achievement. This is the only slide I have on
Quick
achievement.
question.
Yes.
So there is a discrepancy of 10 students between the two. Is it just like people who didn't get a chance to take the test, or?
Still take.
Yeah, we still have makeups running.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, because remember here, our take rate is only 67%. So we have, it looks like about 10 third graders who haven't taken reading, about 14 fourth graders who haven't taken reading, 4 fifth graders. So that's a discrepancy in the numbers. Here we have the achievement. So this is the percentage of students who were developing proficient and distinguished in reading and math on the math growth assessment that we just took. So very high percentages in every grade and every content level around proficient and distinguished, right? Where lots of kids are getting proficient and above, which is the goal. You can see obviously 2 areas of focus for us would be moving students from developing to proficient in 4th grade reading, and moving students from developing to proficient in 3rd grade math. So we have already identified those areas, even though the results are still rolling in, but those probably aren't going to change that much. So we're working on identifying supports that we have in the school right now to move those kids into proficient. Couple of things include using our in-person permanent subs really intentionally, and instead of using them as subs as much, potentially transitioning to using them more in classrooms next semester, as well as utilizing our EIP teachers to continue serving EIP segments, continue serving funded EIP segments. We don't have a whole lot of funded EIP segments here at Maryland. A lot of our EIP students are what you would call like Maryland EIP students, because they don't necessarily meet the threshold for being EIP in the state, but they are still students who are on the bubble and have gaps. So we're going to be using our EIP teachers to focus in those 2 areas.
Sorry, real quick.
Mhm.
The 2, maybe I'm just not seeing it. What is the difference between these 2 graphs?
The top one is reading and the second one is math.
Oh, thank you.
Yep,
Okay.
top
I
is
just didn't
reading.
see it labeled that, but okay.
And next is math, yeah. So this is our ethnicity subgroup comparison. This is where you are looking at the percentage of students in each subgroup who got proficient and above in both math and reading. There's an obvious area that we're going to be focusing on, and that's students who
are in the Black or African American subgroup. And we're going to be digging into what happened with reading. That's just the percentage of students who are proficient and above. So just identifying those students and trying to determine what supports they need, where their gaps are, specifically what skills they need to work on in that subgroup in particular. And those could be in any grade level. This is actually, I think that this is capturing 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade in this graph. All of the subgroup graphs are 2nd through 5th only. This is our gifted subgroup comparison. Very minimal, change in the percentage of students who are scoring proficient from fall to winter. And the reading subgroup, that's going to be captured with our prioritizing 4th grade reading. I think that can be due to that overall 4th grade dip is evident there in that non-gifted reading dip. Bright spot, our SWD subgroups grew in the percentage of children scoring proficient and above in both math and reading, which was awesome. So that is definitely a bright spot and something to celebrate. So just trying to figure out what we've been doing that's been working and doing more of it, because that's great to see that both in math and reading, the number of kiddos who are proficient and above has grown. I was wondering if you all could start a quick discussion protocol and I could run for 5 seconds to my child's chess trophy award, which is just down the hall, if that is okay, because I was just signaled that he's about to get his trophy. So if you want to lead a quick chat on what y'all saw, I will be back in 3 to 4 minutes. Okay. Thank you. And I appreciate that. So talk about what you saw. That'll be right now.
Yeah. I mean, I have a thing to fill some time. But more seriously, I saw an average of the district drop dramatically between winter and fall. I don't know if anybody else noticed that. Not for Lynn per se, but yeah, the next one. Sorry, keep going forward.
I go to vertical graphs.
The vertical graphs?
Yeah, the vertical ones.
Okay.
One more, please. So in the reading, if you look at the gifted reading bar, whereas fall versus winter, the horizontal line denotes the district average. And if you see Lynn numbers don't change, but the district average drops dramatically. I don't know the scale of these plots, but is there a data discrepancy here, or?
I think it has to do with the growth and the fact that maybe some of those students aren't getting access to materials that might challenge them enough to grow. I wonder.
What we talked about last week. Last meeting, what we talked about is when they are at a certain level of the MAP scores, or the percentile, I should say, it's extremely hard for them to make growth, because they might be reading on a 7th grade reading level. It's going to keep pumping out questions that are harder and harder. So that's likely the cause of that. Is that what you're asking, Maria?
No, that doesn't explain the district drop.
Oh,
I mean, we understand that Mary Lynn can't grow because of the student population.
oh, okay.
But why the district drops so much between fall and winter
Well,
reading.
I think
gifted
it would.
kids.
I think that would be true of any student anywhere, that their growth would be impeded by the fact that, they can't grow very much, right?
right,
Because they're already such a high level. I just know that, when my oldest was reading at a 7th grade level, I'm not gonna give her Hunger Games,
Right.
she's still only in 4th grade.
Yeah.
The developmental appropriateness is a very good thing to point out, because I know you guys struggle with that in the
Yeah.
upper grades, with finding, you don't
Books
want to
that
have
are-
these kids read night by.
Yeah.
That can be,
Right.
hard to explain and understand.
And also what, another thing to point out too is that what was proficient in the fall is not proficient in the winter.
Yeah.
It's a
So
moving
it's
target.
because
It's a moving target,
exactly.
right.
So
Then that's-
those
yeah,
kids,
that's the
they
answer.
could have done in the fall, they did have that proficient coming in, but because the test is going to continue to progress, they could have either A, hit a plateau, or B, there wasn't differentiation. There could have been a number of things that didn't happen for them to continue to grow and meet that proficiency.
Also important to note that
these averages are based on the district's current take rate, which we're at 67% take rate. Not all schools are even
Mhm.
close. So there could be a lot of kids that are still missing from that data point. And it could be possible that a lot of the schools that whose data wasn't captured have a high percentage of gifted students. Do you see what I'm saying? So I would want to, that's a really good thing to talk about and bring up. I would want to wait and see if it still looks like that in January, once the data's, set in stone and investigate.
But it's
Yeah,
good to
no,
see that
that
our
makes
data
sense.
are
Sorry.
growing, which is hard to do.
Which is hard to do.
I appreciated the night reference, by the way.
Mhm.
And Ellie was there a couple of times, so. That's it.
Amazing.
That's amazing. Was there, whichever, were there any other things that we wanted to discuss, wondered about, trends from the map that we want to talk about here?
Do we have the ability to break it down more by grade level?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we can. And we're gonna do a lot of that as a staff.
Yeah.
On January 6th, when we come back.
'Cause I think like
During PL day.
that would help identify more of the kids, obviously,
Absolutely.
but also more of the trends.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
And that's something that we'll look at when we have a complete data. This is just
Snapshot.
the
But we have-
snapshot and it's what we have, but we absolutely, yeah, the grade level specific information is gonna be really. Strategic plan progress. So this is where we were at the end of the last meeting, where we workshopped some of the language on this slide to be focused on where we are right now. And so things that we want to focus on voting on this time would be the language on the SMART goals and those squares above, if we wanted to maintain all of that language or change it. And then the strategic priorities and school strategies. Is the next slide? Okay. So one thing that we were talking about at the last meeting that I said I would ask Stephanie Schumacher and follow up on is basically how do we capture all of the work that the school is doing to have this STEAM signature programming and certification? How do we capture it here in our priorities and strategies? Because ultimately at the end of this, our budget has to align to this and we need to budget for those things. And also we are doing those things and they're legitimately being successful and we should be celebrating those successes here in this priority and strategy. And so I have read through all these slides that you added. I don't know if you want to read through them here or you want me to read through them.
You can go ahead. Yeah.
This is like a discussion time, so feel free to interject and comment. These slides were basically given to us from Dr. Warren Edwards. He's the APS STEAM coordinator, and he works with the STEAM people at each school. And so he would be helping to, speak from the district level on what we should be doing as a school. And he sent to us basically this rubric that the schools should be working through. And so first, let's just go through this timeline, I guess, if you want to call it: acquiring, progressing, sustaining, GA, the Georgia DOE certification process, and then you're certified. And so right now, Mary Lynn is somewhere in this orange to yellow zone. I think the closest school in our cluster to getting certified is Spark, who I think maybe will be certified like this year. And so we are doing a lot of what is number one of this bullet point says APS rubric, which is what's in the next slide. And this font is super small. And I sent you the slides so that you can read through them in detail to see basically what the district is going to be presenting to our STEAM schools in our district for like kind of like the expectation. But the thing that I really want to read out loud, and I have to get up here closer, is basically some of these things that say developing a plan for related professional development aimed to improve instructional practices in STEM or STEAM. And says 25% of STEAM students complete an internship or capstone project in STEAM related field. Oh, this is high school only, sorry. But the point is, like, I guess what I really want to point out is they don't have anything like metrics, nothing numeric that you can integrate into your strategic plan. I think that they have kind of like targets to move to and ideas of things to integrate, that if you did integrate that and they saw you were integrating that, it would look like you were moving towards getting a certification. But it's a nebulous thing that's up for us to interpret and how we want to kind of capture what we're already doing and put it into our priorities and plan, is I guess what I'm saying. And some of,
Seems like more like a. Like programming and participation based, like we are providing these things, we are making sure every child or every student is getting. Access and participating in these sort of programs, sort of goal.
yeah. So when we were talking last time about metrics, I don't think there are any. Oh, wait, what is that?
Unless you did something like providing access to each student to STEAM programming. I mean, you're not measuring it, but you're in some way quantifying it. And
Maybe something about the flow, like the timeline.
Yeah,
Like,
that might be
Transitioning from the gray area to the orange or whatever.
Yeah.
Sure.
Not on this slide, but on the previous, the first
The
slide that
projection.
you showed with the flow chart.
Like at what point we should be, like at this point, after this amount of months, you should be moving from this zone. So that's, is that what you're saying?
I thought you said
after this amount
of
money.
Also true.
I think also like it just would be
Yeah,
good to
here.
just, like to just record how many like. How many STEAM programs we're running, how many classes are STEAM based, so we can just show the district, like, these are how many days or how many programs, like, or. Class units we ran with that. Might be helpful just in terms of talking to the district about like,
why?
no, this is what we're doing, like, now you know everything we're doing.
Yeah.
To get to that next level might be helpful, and I know that's work for teachers, but just to. I think that could be useful based on the way that the rubric like looks to me at least, but.
Denise, where do you think we're at right now? Are we in
I think we're
the,
in sustaining.
I think we're in the yellow already?
I think that Stephanie said that we're either in progressing or sustaining.
Okay.
Or actually, no, Dr. Edwards said that he thinks that the last check-in that he had with Schumacher and Ms. Schumacher, we are in sustaining
Okay.
and in preparation for certification. You know, this is kind of year 3, if you will, of implementation and growing every year. So, also, I just want to point out that this is a draft. You know, Dr. Edwards shared this with us. There could be changes once it's officially rolled out. I did tell him that we would provide feedback if we had any, but yeah, he just kind of shared this with me so we could kind of get ahead of it. But I think that we're in sustaining at the moment.
Do we have like a timeline goal for certification?
That is a great question.
They typically like, and I could be wrong, you probably would know a little more. I believe the timeline is typically like it's a 3-year.
But I mean,
process
like
for you
for
to
us
get-
as a school, do we wanna say like our goal is to get certified by
Mhm.
2026.
like
Yeah.
2026 or whatever. I mean, I just feel like that's like something just like achievable.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think that's gonna be important, especially as we invest in the habitat and in developing our outdoor learning spaces so that we can, you know, bring STEAM outdoors and you know, have like the flexible learning environments is gonna be a really big plus as we go through the certification process and are collecting our artifacts and all of that. So I know.
Do any of the other cluster elementary schools have STEAM certification?
It's not Georgia DOE STEAM certification, no. Their Spark has Cognia certification,
Okay.
which is a national certification, national credentialing agency. And used to be, I guess, at some point, it was permissible to be Cognia certified or Georgia DOE STEAM certified in order to qualify for the designation, but now they've said that they want for all schools to be Georgia DOE certified. So that's why Spark is, I think, going through the process again, and probably why they are most prepared, right? And can get it done first because they were the first to do Cognia.
And Cognia was like traditionally harder than
Yes.
GADOE.
And now it's the other way around,
Mhm.
that the Georgia DOE process is more, there's more detail, there's more like work, there's more pre and post pieces, whereas Cognia was a little bit more of a clear process, like you do this.
Right, step 1, 2.
And
Step 1, 2, 3.
I know that Addison just left the room, but to Kayla's point, it's supposed to be a 3-year process, but the Georgia system was hiring. And they didn't necessarily have enough people to do the inspections and certifications. And so I'm not saying that it was holding Mary Lynn up, but it was holding the whole process.
Agreed, yes, yes.
Across the whole
And there were
state.
many
Yes.
schools that were pushed back 6
Right.
weeks, 2 months,
Yeah,
when
that
they
is
should have been.
And so, you know, when we ask questions, you know, there's some sort of delay and then we get things and then we're trying to fit what we're doing into the
a
things that are
moving
provided
target.
to us. It is a little bit of a moving target. And I think that we should keep that in mind in any language that we write. I wouldn't put 2026 down in print because there are outside forces that we're not necessarily going to be able to control. So.
Could we take the factors that are listed in the following slides and find a way, if we're gonna include it in the strategic plan, you know, just taking those different parts of the rubric, yeah, like.
School
And
vision and
defining a-
culture.
yeah, culture of STEAM, instructional practices, like finding ways to train teachers to implement the material, like, you know, helping with project-based learning, design, curriculum design, something that combines all those areas in a succinct,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yes.
we don't have to reinvent the wheel.
And I think that in some ways.
Reinforcements. Encouraging.
Yeah,
student
definitely
enforcement with the whole
encourage
staff.
that.
For
Because I
teachers,
think
Yeah.
right now Stephanie are the only ones in.
Yeah, that definitely will be a
And it
big
was
push.
amazing, like how much,
Risa?
yes.
Mhm.
And it was really extremely helpful in just understanding the process because you have to build a PBL.
Mhm.
Like it really was very helpful for the business.
And there'll be more teacher buy-in with that as well.
Mhm.
Kind of like how they, I guess, with gifted, like how
Yeah.
somebody it has to be gifted and because of the number of students that are,
That's great.
that is a,
STEAM endorsement. Yeah,
Mhm.
good idea. Okay.
yeah.
So for
I was gonna answer a question, I think. Hari
So they
Wolf
are saying
had
the staff.
the question last time we met, asking about the proof how STEAM is assisting with the MAP scores. I think I can't remember who asked that question. However, when we went to visit the school, that was a question I asked, and they said that they're able to see their growth and their critical thinking and comprehension. However, they hadn't tracked like direct correlation to see if because it was STEAM, this improved this. But they've just have been doing it for so many years. But I remember that question being asked. I just can't remember who.
Yeah, I would imagine it would be hard to parse that data
Mhm.
out, you know, because the
Mhm.
teachers are teaching
Mhm.
with all different methodologies, right? Not just like STEAM.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say that Kelsey, what you were saying about those like major headings, like, equipping and empowering leaders and staff is the same thing as professional development. And so I do think in the way that we reworded, what is that orange number 2 down there? Students in STEAM centered opportunities and serve diverse populations. I think we like workshopped that to include some of, what's over here in this professional learning to be like focused over here too, and I think that that's kind of what I'm indicating maybe we should do a little bit more of, and maybe in that center column where it says school strategic priorities, and in one of these color zones, something specific to STEAM,
Yeah.
and then in, that same color, put it on the other side. So that might look like, adding another bullet in that orange zone.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then,
Mhm.
All
yeah, exactly.
Increasing the, number of staff members who have a STEAM endorsement,
Mhm.
I think is a really good one.
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe I was in group. I don't know.
And you can also add in professional development in there as well, like if there's.
I mean, there's nothing preventing us
Outside.
from, I mean, we can make a school investment in STEAM endorsement with, using the foundation dollars or some other money, and actually partner with Metro Risa for them to hold a course
Mhm.
in our school. They would partner with us. Obviously, there's a cost associated, but they could partner with us to have an on-site STEAM endorsement.
That could run like the year, I guess,
Yeah.
for that.
Isn't that what they did with the Orton Gillen a couple years ago?
Yeah.
Was that on-site
Yeah,
here?
that was on site.
Oh, it was on-site.
Harvey, can you tell
Well,
me,
ours
do you
was-
see me editing the slide? Is that shared?
Yeah, I can see it.
Just got finished my Steam endorsement and it just came through and it was 100% on Zoom. And what was great is that it was offered like 4 days a week. So you could pick, if you couldn't make your Wednesday class, you could choose the Tuesday class with a different instructor and still keep running, but because it was all on Zoom. So that was really.
That's another, yeah, wow.
Okay, so do we want to, maybe it would be easiest if we start here with what it says for professional learning. And we're in the orange zone, or wait, you said we were in
We're-
sustaining right now.
Yes, yes, we're like sustaining. Yes, sustaining minus, like not and not sustaining plus, right?
Yeah.
So
One thing, I don't know if these colors are they aligned with the colors from the slide 23 where you have the acquiring, progressing, sustaining.
yeah, it does not seem that they are. We can give
Yeah,
that feedback to Dr. Edwards and tell him that might be nice if they were the same.
Yeah, and how do we grade ourselves? Which level we are? Do we grade ourselves, or is there a way to evaluate where we stand on the rubric?
So every month, Ms. Schumacher completes a STEAM program status check-in. It's a document that she has to complete that has various questions. I'm assuming aligned with this rubric in each of those criteria regions. You can see like instructional rigor, STEM or STEAM curriculum, PBL, and she has to provide feedback to Dr. Edwards each month on like where we are in each domain and what work we're doing that month. And some months, we don't hit a domain, and then some months we really hit one a lot. So that's a monthly check-in that she does with him, and then that I sign off on. So that's how we would check in. But this rubric is not being utilized yet. Dr. Edwards is creating it so that he can use it in those check-ins, because it seems like we're not the only folks who asked for something like this when I spoke with him. And it does seem like other districts that have strong STEAM programs that have been developed and going for many years all have rubrics like this. So he's trying to better align what we're doing at APS with our other metro districts, like DeKalb.
Right. So like we can't at this point use this as like a quantifiable goal like increasing our level twos from 50% to 55% or something like that. Not at this point. Because
Not at this
is
point, no. In the future, potentially, right? So looking toward like maybe next year when this is an actual document, not in draft form, definitely a potential there, but no, we're not ready for that yet.
I like the second green box, so like the gold one for us. The school, so like instead of the school has, like make it active, implement a plan to improve, like. They'd make that or like one of the things we're going to do, like implement a plan to improve professional development and aim to improve instructional practices in STEAM and STEM.
Well, the thing is if we invest as a school, it would be at no cost to the teacher. You know what I mean? That's
Which we at the district,
Which so many people would opt in for that, I think.
It goes in your certificate forever, and if you leave,
yeah, they would.
Like when, that's the reason I got Gates, or,
It's implement
yeah,
a
Gates
plan
certified, because it was fully funded, so. I think a lot of
Does the
teachers,
district
Actually,
To improve
offer it every
professional
year.
development
but it
and
costs.
to improve.
Yeah, but-
disability.
No,
Yeah.
It's often
we need-
Implement a plan
However-
to improve
Yeah,
instructional
they-
practices in
Sure, that
STEAM and
is-
You know what I mean? Like the district, they'll offer it in the, because the district, they pay, like when it's like for research.
oh,
Through the district. they pay
yeah,
for
that
it. Are
is-
they doing
that's
it?
hit or miss.
It is, okay.
It's whether or not the
There's a-
STEAM coordinator decides to put a piece of their funding.
Yeah.
towards it.
$600. And then what was that thing you called it? Missy and Kayla? Certification, STEAM.
Theme certification.
STEAM endorsement.
Oh, endorsement, sorry, endorsement.
Personally.
Oh, so that's a really good question.
Endorsement.
Endorsement to a organization. Did you have a Georgia PSC? So that's about
But
it.
it's service.
You give up those.
So I don't see what those.
Through it, they
Yeah,
provide
PTA.
either resources or encourage teachers. to-
Opportunities.
Yeah.
Provide resources and opportunities for STEAM endorsement.
Focus.
It's awesome.
PL funds,
Yeah.
It's a really good idea. I didn't realize there was a STEAM endorsement.
Mhm. A lot of colleges, they added on now, like when you get your master's. Yes, and when you get your master's, it's like an add-on now.
Well, let me tell you something. I
For
finished in
teachers
May.
at all grade levels, or do we want to
Just
just some
here.
first?
Yeah.
Just leave it at that, provide resources, opportunities for STEAM endorsement.
Training.
Yeah,
Or
for resources,
Development, training. It's great.
yeah.
Right.
The teacher, I don't know if you want to say to teachers or just leave that, I think it is.
I think just leave it if
Instructor.
Yeah.
non-teaching positions want to also seek it out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wait, say that again.
It's good. where
It's good.
at.
I thought you said something like seek it out, and I'm like, okay, that was really quick.
I mean, I need a period.
You can say that well.
Right?
I can't.
Standards.
This is blur.
Learning targets and interdisciplinary unit.
Getting old is.
So what about something around this planning? I know that just in talking to Stephanie, the planning, the interdisciplinary units, a curriculum that includes STEAM is like a growth opportunity right now. Because things have to be, the way that the STEAM's programs work, they are for your school and your school's focus independently. And so even though you can get something that's generic for, environment, you still need to get it focused down into what you're doing. And it takes time and it takes energy, and people are putting that in right now. I don't know if that's
What if you just took out,
Priorities.
literally that same language, but take out the like day-to-day units? I don't know what to say exactly.
I guess my question is that a priority where we say something like providing curriculum support or
Have we thought about
Is Diana
partnering with like
still-
PBL Works to get like possibly pre-made units. You know, they have like pre-made PBL units.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
We can pilot, my best friend works there, so I have a
Oh, I like that.
vested interest in it, but we can pilot them for free.
Yes, so I
It can
think
help
that-
teachers a lot.
we've been talking a lot about curriculum and instruction, and teaching and learning, and the question marks that have been left open with the transitions happening at the district level. And it seems that our reading coaches were told at their latest instructional coaches meeting that the district would not be able to invest in a reading curriculum to meet the needs of the new reading standards because there is a $100 million deficit. So we are going to be working as a team over the next month or so to do that work on our own. Our coaches are going to be looking into instructional resources alongside our teachers to determine what we need in order to teach here at Mary Lynn, and making sure that we choose instructional resources that have some type of STEAM integration where possible is going to be important. So maybe including that in the priorities would be, I don't know, something about choosing,
Great.
and choosing, or yeah, investing in curricular resources that integrate STEAM.
In this input.
I would-
Empowering.
I would say, yeah, equipping, because you're equipping, staff with the instructional resources. So choosing instructional or curricular,
That
either
might
way.
be more like choosing a system of school support, I don't know, but it. But
Let's write the whole thing and then we'll, I guess,
Yeah.
paste it where it needs to go.
Uh,
The curriculum,
Or STEAM-based curriculum. Right?
Yes, investing it, or yeah, choosing STEAM-based curricula where possible. I don't know if we're gonna be able to find a high quality reading curriculum that
If applicable.
where possible, and.
Is Diana still on the?
choosing STEAM based.
Do we feel like we could change that to multidisciplinary, or do we want it to be specifically STEAM? Because like we've done a lot of like pairing of reading and social studies.
So you could say choosing STEAM-based
or multi,
and or interdisciplinary
Yeah.
curricula.
But I think it's good for Mary Lynn to be focusing on STEAM
Mhm.
Yeah.
for
The
very
language.
long term. Not to move into an IB.
so I just go with N
Yeah.
instead of N four. Because
And
I mean, like, yeah, the. Cause then it's not like we're giving ourselves an option.
Yeah. No, I like that. Yeah, choosing STEAM-based and multidisciplinary,
Mhm.
So
Okay.
on number 3, on the next column over, provide resources and opportunities for STEM endorsement training. And make that STEM, because they don't have, like Missy said, it's a STEM
It's called
endorsement.
STEM, and if Diana's on there, she's in charge, and she actually, they offer it frequently. It's through Metro Research. It's like, for instance, Stephanie started hers in January last year or the year before, and I started mine in June. So it was, we were like 6 months apart. So
Mhm.
it's not like it's a once a year thing. They offer it frequently.
They offer it often, that's great.
Mhm.
And so you said that you're already looking at the reading or whatever kind of curriculum.
Mhm.
What's the plan for that? Because here on number 1, it says Mary Lynn Foundation grants, and then it just says provide resources. So maybe, we should say on this. Can't scroll up, sorry, I was just gonna say, have a committee to review. For the strategy, have a committee to review the curriculum
Mhm,
options
mhm.
and determine what's best on or something like that.
Mhm.
Identify
I don't understand what number 1 means. Mary Lynn Foundation grants must be screened and approved.
It's something to do with number 1 on the other side, equitably align school resources with MLE mission and vision.
I mean, can we make that just say Mary Lynn Foundation grants grant approval will be evaluated based on schools' priorities? I mean, because that's something we do at the foundation is like we have identified STEAM as a priority, and when we evaluate grant requests, that's the number 1 thing we consider is like, is this supporting our mission to be a STEAM school? And if it is serving our mission, then it's a grant that we will consider. And if it's not serving the mission, then it's something that we would have to, wait on, find a different funding source on, write a outside grant for, stuff like that. So on number 4, maybe instead of resources on number 3, just say provide opportunities for STEM endorsement training. It doesn't mean resources, because that's repetitive for number 2. And then you can add a 4th, create a committee. I mean,
Would that be different than the instructional staff reviewing it? Isn't that your committee?
it is. Yeah. I mean, the instructional staff reviewing.
Right, like,
I mean, the committee could be, yeah, sure. I mean, the expanded.
No, all of these are internal to the.
Yeah, expanded leadership team, the folks who plan math, creating a committee to review curricular resources with staff.
You said a lot more words. Create a committee to
Review curricular resources with staff, among staff.
Mm-hmm.
On the yellow one, on the my left side column. Do we wanna add something about the development of our outdoor spaces? As like creating a school
Oh, sure, yeah.
Like, just to make that a priority and to make sure it's in there that we're like actually doing all that.
Absolutely.
Designing an environment that fosters the learning, STEAM learning.
STEAM-centered
Yeah.
education, design a learning environment that fosters STEAM-centered education.
Mm-hmm.
That plays into other conversations, safety too. Put learning environment for like design a learning environment there. Oh, absolutely, yeah. Mhm.
I think this is pretty good.
Yeah, I think, because we don't wanna.
Yeah.
Right,
We don't wanna get
it can't be too much, right, it can't be too much, but I think that this is all nicely aligned. Thinking about what our foundation is doing, what we're doing with the SIP, what our, long-term and short-term goals are. Meets the need.
I think we need something here about. If the outdoor classroom basically.
So-
What is our actual strategy? And it's like, creating spaces that naturally lead to.
So like
Exploration.
investing in.
We're aligning the curriculum with. The use of our outdoor spaces. Or our STEAM.
It's kind of goes both ways,
Investing in.
Well, just to say that I think they're gonna make a STEAM workshop in the library. And then there's like a classroom too. And so it's not like limited to the outdoor space,
Right.
but that's definitely a big push.
Yeah.
So it would be like encouraging development of the outdoor space in order to further progress the STEAM focus.
Do you want it to focus on the outdoor space or?
Investing in,
Learning environment.
investing in and
And like
encouraging use of the STEAM
I
center.
just need one of those.
investing in.
The outdoor learning place.
Think about shared spaces.
Investing in,
Those are-
and I think if you put worker space, because that's like the STEAM.
Maker
that's the- Maker space, there we go. That's the term. So maybe using that and just in various learning environments or various
And like
spaces.
flexible learning environment.
Something like I'm trying to make it like where it could be anywhere in the school without, but not be specific.
Investing in shared makerspace.
I like this and learning. Investing.
To provide a like like jumping off point is what I want to say for STEAM instruction, right? To provide an infrastructure for STEAM, to provide an infrastructure for STEAM centered learning.
Can we shorten it to support STEAM learning or augment STEAM learning?
Augment is fine too. Yeah.
Infrastructure, just because it,
Mhm.
this one specific thing was focused on, the actual physical spaces that were being created. In.
Maybe you can replace maker spaces with infrastructure, because a maker space is a piece of infrastructure. A STEAM lab is an infrastructure. A outdoor
Mhm.
classroom is an infrastructure. So maybe if it just says investing in infrastructure to create flexible learning environments that augment STEAM centered learning. So investing in infrastructure to create flexible learning environments, right? Because that's what we do. We invest in these infrastructures so that we can have flexibility in where we're learning
Create.
to augment, to add to our learning.
Schemes.
That is what we're gonna do,
Mhm.
what we're saying will happen. It's
Yeah.
not, these are already things
Yeah.
happening.
I think that towards the sustainability piece too, right?
Yes.
Where it's like, you know, we created it and now we're here, we're gonna keep using it and keep moving forward with it. And I think we've covered the instructional practices with the professional development, even though they have. Well, I guess the instructional practices also would cover the curriculum. Culture, which I think the culture of STEAM is also overlapping with having more teachers having that endorsement, so
Oh,
they're
yeah.
focused on it.
Yep.
Just look real quick at this fostering academic excellence all. No. I was just thinking about something in this gray zone about the project-based learning that tends to be projects on the STEAM spectrum,
hmm
and it's stuff that we could capture here.
What if just on number 2, we add something like at the end? Like,
Supplement with STEAM centered resources
right, exactly.
on number 2. Adhere, no, sorry, the one before, strategic priorities, and number 2. Adhere to the scope and sequence of the GSE and supplement with STEAM centered resources. And then take out that other and supplement with other resources that comes right before it.
Oh, sorry. And I'm she decided the box, which is awesome.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a super user-friendly template, but
On the other side of number 2, I think you could add to number like. Something led by instructional coaches. Including discussions of STEAM centered learning or something like that, something along the lines of like. Weekly, like obviously there's other lesson plans going on, but to add in that it is going to be, it is going to include a discussion of STEAM strategies or something like that.
I almost feel like we could put a number 3 and say something like. PBL units will be, have a STEAM consideration or something like that, you know? Because
Yeah, I think that's good.
focusing.
Maybe instead of consider, like, we'll integrate.
Or PBL will have, will
consider the integration.
be STEAM focused area.
Yeah, PBL units are STEAM
Are STEAM
focused. That's just the bottom line.
Yeah.
PBL
Which
units
they
are.
they usually are. I mean,
Because it was like Steve, overarch pretty much everything that you need to, it includes that A, it's pretty easy.
So this.
Mhm.
Okay.
So wait, PBL units
Are
are
STEAM focused.
STEAM focused, no areas, yeah.
ED.
ED.
I'm gonna get an 80% on this test.
You're good, you're good.
You're one of the teachers.
You're good, you're good.
Okay.
I
Do you feel like?
I think it's good.
I
I think we're good. I have one small edit just to the goal up top, and that's just to, I would like some more specificity in the fourth one, increase the achievement of all lower performing subgroups in the school as measured by GMAS. I mean, what does that mean? I would rather it say
It's kind of wordy.
increase the percentage of students in non-minority subgroups who score proficient and above, or non-majority.
No, majority.
Yeah.
It's minority subgroups, sorry, or just say minority subgroups. Or just say subgroups, isn't minority in here in the word subgroups? Okay, students, yeah, increase the percentage of students in subgroups who score
it-
proficient on the Georgia Milestones assessment, on GMAS.
Just watching you do.
I know, I'm
But
there all the time.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments? Because remember, we will vote on these before we leave.
I mean, should we say in the SWD and Black and African American subgroups, because those are the two subgroups that like that.
No, because those could change year to year.
Depending on their
I think
Yeah.
it's good, they
Depending
can-
on enrollments.
Exactly.
Yeah, better to keep it vague.
I'm gonna, if everybody doesn't have any more edits, I'm gonna motion to table the discussion and go to the vote.
Second.
All in favor?
I,
Aye.
I think that was all of us saying yes.
Aye.
Great.
So we already did all of this, and we're not gonna put it into this slide format, so this will be updated when you guys print it online. But then we are supposed to, I'm scrolling down. One second. Preparing for the budget development. We just talked about this at the beginning, so. The Go team needs to rank its strategic plan priorities. Use the next slide to capture the priority ranking. I put in here. This is the language from last year. This is what we did last year. We can change it to whatever ranking that we want, with the understanding that like everything is important. We put it on our list for a reason.
Sure.
And I think at some point, maybe last year, it said the top 3, and we were kind of like, no, we're just gonna put all the ones we want to put. And so we don't have to include everything that's on this slide, but we should include whatever we want. And well, I'm gonna try to increase the font size so that we can do. There's no instructions that it has to be like some from each category or anything like that, but if anything jumps out at you as your highest priority, right off the bat, just throw it out there and I'll start copying and pasting things down, and then we can.
see what we were already working with and see if we can tweak it based on that.
Well, I mean, I think that implementing a plan to improve instructional practices in STEAM, choosing STEAM-based and multidisciplinary curriculum I mean, I think that that's all top priority. You know, I mean, I think it's all related, so I don't think we need to pull out every single one that's related to STEAM curriculum and instruction, but I mean, that's certainly where the foundation is focused against dollars. You know, that's where the PTA, when applicable, is focused against dollars. You know, purchasing the Lou Interactive Playground is a nod towards science and technology, and movement that, you know, in a way.
Right, so replacing the first goal with our STEAM-based
Mhm.
instructional goal. To narrow it a little bit.
And that was this one right here, implement a plan to improve. That's the one you're wanting to put as number one?
Sort of implementing a plan. Let's see. Ooh, well, designing learning
We just
environment.
do like
STEAM centered.
we just do like improve instructional practices in STEAM. Or I don't know, or maybe it's like focus, continue to build on STEAM-based programs and focus.
Or increase focus on STEAM.
Right, if you go back to the goal slide,
To this one,
yeah, and just,
and then say here,
mhm,
increase STEAM focus, is that what you said?
Increase STEAM focus. Now, do these have to be copied and pasted from our strategic plan, or can these be?
them, it can be.
I think that,
Tell me.
they definitely have to map to that other slide. Does it have to be verbatim? I do not think so. Can this be made to say, you know, encompasses these other ones? I think, you know, we can lump those priorities together in this increase.
And I think all of these map to what we're set, like, there's no divergence from, other than like the wording, like they're making it tighter.
How about on number one, under equipping and empowering, could we say equitably align school resources with MLE mission and vision to become a STEAM certified school? And then that can be number one.
I agree with that.
What do y'all think about that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So hard data, I would still put that pretty high on the list because I do think that at this time, we are using the data to map to individual students, and I think that that's really beneficial in our community, you know.
So maybe to do an add-on there, use data to inform instruction and track progress towards STEAM certification.
What are the, your example of achievement? And then what did you say to add?
Oh, yeah, no, add what was on there. Yeah, what was that? Use
That
data
was,
with
like
a
I said,
focus
that
on
was the
the.
language from last year. This year we added.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Yeah. And then I would say maybe even the next bullet point could be around how we are tracking our progress toward maybe becoming a STEAM certified school or something. I don't know if you want to go back to the other slide. Maybe scroll down a little bit. What was the yellow?
What's the, go ahead.
I know design a learning environment that fosters STEAM-centered education. Wouldn't you say that?
Thank you so much.
Did we send it to you? Yeah. Did you send me the notes that you're typing in?
No.
Can you do that super quick so I can finish them?
Oh,
Are they on the shared drive?
No.
I can
Yeah,
pick
if
up
you
where you
just
left
dump
off
it
and
in a
we can
Word
come out.
document.
Dump it in
I
a Word
can-
document.
I can put it up.
we have.
Yeah, we have
And just to point out that we still need in our forum, so we can still vote on
Yeah.
this ranking. Pretty collaborative. school
Can you
culture.
admit Pari?
Yeah. Oh, shoot, did I not?
No, I think he probably lost connection, but he's just coming.
You can ask Diane about endorsements too. Who's on?
Okay. So I just want to also say that if you need me to go back to the SIP stuff so that we can use that to help inform this ranking as well, I can scroll up to those slides too.
I would take, you can take off number 6, because we've already used that one, and put it as number 1 with a focus on STEAM.
I think this is good.
I like that. I like it the way it is now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I'll just go after the fact and make sure that this language is
the wording.
matching our
Mhm.
current language on that previous slide. When you save this, will you save it as a different file name, like
Sure.
version 2 or something?
Yeah, yep.
So I can match it up.
Yep.
Uh-huh. Okay, so then in that case, let's just take a minute to look at all of them and then we can decide if we're ready to vote on this ranking. Just give me 1 second to change the font size so you can see everything. All right, you're here, right? You can see us and you can comment if needed.
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry, my phone overheated and shut down, so I had to connect with my laptop again.
Okay.
So thank you for adding me back in.
No problem at all.
Yeah, I think that.
Yeah, I think. Number 3 and number 4 talks to that whole child development. And I think number 1 and number 2 talk to our literacy and math goals.
And our STEAM goals too.
Well, and 5 speaks to subgroups, right? Build teacher capacity to meet diverse needs of students. So I think that's spot on.
Somebody want a motion to vote or motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second. Vote, anybody in
All in-
favor? Aye.
I
Should conclude all of the business section of our meeting. I'm just scrolling down to make sure. So we've taken action and voted on our priorities and the ranking of those priorities. So I change that font size again. So I can see this. Where we're going in January at our next meeting, we'll begin the discussion of the 2025-2026 budget. Let me or the chair know if you have any additional information you need for our future discussion. I will say that if you're new to the Go team, double check your training online prior to going into this budgeting season and make sure you've done your budget training. Okay. And then with that, we'll go to the principal's report and we'll have the Midtown CAT report. And then public comment, I think, is the last thing.
Yeah, so we've been chatting a lot. You guys saw a little data preview. We'll be ready to, have a complete data profile once our winter EOG assessments are complete. The other thing that I wanted to talk to you all about, other than just like community-based stuff we have going on at Mary Lynn, is the security grant and what we're going to invest at least a portion of the security grant in is after speaking with various folks and having an assessment by Safe Havens International, which is a nonprofit organization that APS has partnered with to do comprehensive school safety audits. We have not received our full audit, but after my conversation with the guy who was doing the audit, like my exit interview, we talked about securing the perimeter. So we're going to be investing in some fencing to fully secure the perimeter so that the chicken coop and the habitat are accessible by gate, but not fully open all the time. In addition, after talking to our expanded lead team, there's a need for a badge reader on the exterior door that leads out of the library to go to the habitat, especially if we're trying to beef up the habitat and make it a space we want kids to be in every day, all the time. We really want to have accessible
badge reader access points for them to come back into the building, should they need to do that quickly. We have one already and we want a second. So we're gonna install a badge reader there. And then also on this exterior gate that comes right off this small parking lot, we're gonna install a badge reader on that gate. So that if needing to access from the parking lot, teachers and staff could, but the main funnel, right, and access point is gonna be that library door so that they're not exiting out into the parking lot, which is sometimes what happens now. They're exiting to get into the habitat right from the library because they can come right back in with a badge
I
reader.
have a question.
Yeah.
So parents sign up to take care of the chickens over the weekends and they won't have a badge to get into that gate. So will there be a way for people
So
without
the,
badge to get in?
the exterior gate that we're putting on the other side where that alley is, that'll be a locked gate. So if we have like a key that we can have
It's just something to
volunteers.
consider that.
Yeah, we can consider that and we can find a workaround, for sure. About the weekends with the chickens. And also we were actually talking about even moving the chicken coop up. Did Sophie talk to you about that? Yeah.
Well, I knew that was an option. Like.
It's not a
it
done
was-
deal. It's
it
just
was
a
something that
potential.
was in conversation up, you mean up to the gym?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, still working it out, depending on what the foundation can fund, but that's a very good point and something to think about.
I wonder if we could even just have like visitors badges that they could use.
Yes,
for
that's
the-
really
Issue that they do
Yeah.
that.
Safety.
They have to do that.
No, that's fine. I'm just asking. Yeah.
It would be lovely if we could.
Right, it would be easier, right?
Sure, that would make it easier. Right, I know, I know. So something to think about and something we can develop a plan for sure. Because like I said, there will be the other way around will not be a badge reader. It'll be some type of lock. So potentially, and that we will own, you know what I mean, that we could potentially create key copies for, that could be picked up, you know, owned by, if you have like 4 or 5 like volunteers for the year, they could have, you know, something like that, sign it out, send it back in.
Is that, door by Dr. Walden, is that an option at all? Or
That
is it just
alarm always
because?
goes
So
off.
in case of emergency, absolutely, it is.
Is
It
it
is
that because of?
the
how
reason
it
that
is-
we don't use it is because of the alarm.
So there is
Now,
one- okay.
now, once we have the perimeter secured,
Mhm.
then I would like to make a case for
Yeah.
obviously having that door locked at all times and having a badge reader, but turning the alarm off during certain
Mhm.
times in the day when the space would be used for instruction, once the
Yeah.
habitat is fully
Got
functional.
you.
But right now, it definitely can be used, but it's just the alarm will go off.
Mhm.
So,
They'd have to be able to get back into it.
right, exactly.
Yeah, but that's why I was asking if at one point, some point, if there would be badge on that, one, to like beyond where we are now. but-
Yes, that would be a hope for sure.
Yeah.
But it's $45,000 a year for some
It's
amounts of years, right?
$45,000 a year for, I don't know how many years.
So that could be like a phase 2, once
It
the
could be.
perimeter is secure.
Mhm.
Sure,
And the next phase is that door
absolutely.
becomes accessible.
Because it is gonna be, to install badge readers up here, it is gonna be pretty costly because they're gonna have to go for the concrete. So, and it's probably,
Mhm.
I don't know when they're gonna actually be able to make
Mhm.
this a reality, but we're still undergoing the facilities improvement request process, so I don't have like a timeline or anything, but it's gonna be a lot. So if we have anything left over this year, we are hoping to beef up our intercom system. I just don't know how much the fencing and the 2 badge readers is gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be 45 grand, but whatever we have left over, we're gonna be ensuring that the intercom system, PA loudspeaker that goes to the playground is functioning. Sometimes you can hear it, sometimes you can't. I also want to consider investing in a new PA that directs to the habitat, right? Because now we're going to be, hopefully in the future, next couple of years, more kids are going to be out there. We want some type of PA intercom, you know, that connects to our intercom system that shouts out into that space. So that's the other thing. we can consider. That's all I have.
Okay, let's see if this wants to work from here. Yes, look at, okay.
Great. The CAT team met, I think since our last meeting, and basically just got an APS update on safety, nutrition, very general APS topics, not a lot of engagement on the CAT team cluster meetings. But there is now a subcommittee being formed, which will be the CAT team Midtown Cluster Assessment Subcommittee. That Denise, that's definitely not the name, that Denise is
Go on,
helping
Denise.
chair. It does have parents from the various Midtown Cluster schools, or at least Midtown Cluster neighborhoods. I don't know if any Maryland parents are on it. but
Brittany
she's
Schwartzwald,
not on
former.
there. Right. So there's Howard, Virginia Highlands, Midtown, and I'm sure some others. And they are meeting next Monday for their first meeting, next Monday evening on Zoom to discuss assessments, which doesn't really impact Maryland the way it does Howard and Midtown. Most of the topics they've created have less of an impact on the elementary schools than they do Howard and Midtown. Their focus is assessment, safety, and data. And Dr. Johnson just announced he's having his wrap up of the 100-day visiting every school, meeting with every cluster. I think it is tomorrow at 6 p.m. You can log on to listen. I think he wanted to get it in before the end of the year, even though obviously it's a crazy time for everybody. And January begins engagement about redistricting. So stay tuned. And keep focusing on STEAM. So we stay in a STEAM cluster. Cool.
All right. Can you check to see if there's anybody on the YouTube channel that could make public comment?
You want me to?
And
Oh, yeah, you can look on that. It's open from, yeah. Should be. Nope, nope. One watching, just us. Just us.
Do I,
just leave it. Okay, Diane, do you want to say something about the G3 summit or any other announcements?
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So we were able to reschedule our summit. I don't know if you remember, I think it was when it was actually on the day of your meeting that we had a hurricane. We ended up having to cancel our summit. It is going to be on Saturday, January 11th. It's still at Tuskegee Airmen Global Academy, and it's going to go from 8:30 till 2:30. Dr. Johnson will be presenting. We're hoping to secure people from finance to talk about budget. And we have a great day of learning and leadership planned for you. We will feed you, so we hope you can make it. All Go team members are invited. However, we would like each team to identify at least 3 people to attend. So your whole team can come. We'd love if the whole team came, but we do understand life happens and there are lots of things going on. So please try to identify at least 3 people that can come for that day. The other 2 quick announcements are just as Principal Bringslid said, please make sure that you've completed your trainings. We haven't sent out budget training yet because we're working with finance because we want to make sure that our budget training is up to date and corresponds to what the expectations of finance and human resources are. So stay tuned for that one. That will probably be coming out at the beginning of January. However, we do hope that everybody will complete their orientation training, and if you're not an APS employee, your ethics training. APS employees, just so you know, have to take an annual ethics course as a condition of employment, so we don't make them do it twice. If we are offering between now and January 11th 4 opportunities for that live portion of your orientation. The next one is tomorrow from 12:30 to 2:30, and then there are 3 in those first couple weeks of January. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask. And thank you all so much, and I hope you have a great winter break.
Thank you. Same.
I think we can motion to adjourn. There's no other things.
motion to adjourn?
Concludes our meeting. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
coming and actively participating.
Yeah.
Makes it go faster.
Yeah.